Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Paula, and in today's video we're gonna talk about a ton of luxury designer inspired handbags. I'm not sure how this video is gonna turn out, if it is gonna be like, here's recommendations if you want to get the look for less, or if this is gonna be like a shock horror of how close of an inspired version can high street brands make out of the designer bags. I can admit that I shop from H&M from time to time, also from other high street brands such as Another Stories, Arket, like these type of places. I can admit that. So, once upon a time, on a Sunday evening, I was a bit bored, so I went to look on H&M to see what's out there. And by the way, this is a really bad hobby of mine, and I should not do that. Majority of my shopping apps from my phone I actually have deleted, because I have noticed from my own behavior that if I have them there, if I'm just scrolling for fun, that will lead into me potentially buying something I was not going to buy. So usually I don't have any of those apps on my phone, but once again, I'll have to admit, guilty, I still have the H&M app on my phone. So long story short, I was looking on it to see what's new. And oh dear God, I saw so many handbags that are, in my opinion, very much inspired, or dare I say duped, from a designer bag. And I thought in this video, let's have a look at some of them and discuss a bit of like how we feel about this. There's so many of them, so I will have to have my laptop here so that I actually can see the names and the prices and so on. It's a lot easier than me actually needing to edit all of me like looking sideways to check from my computer. Let's start with the bag that actually caught my attention first, which led me into looking into the bags. So it is this straw bag that says Paris written on it. And this, I think, is like still quite neutral, quite okay. The bag that this reminds me of is that Prada, some kind of straw bag that I think at least last summer, maybe even the summer before that, was all the hip cool thing that the influencers had. Like, it was just kind of a very summery straw bag that just said Prada. Even though like the price of this one is less than 20 euros, and that was, I think, over 1,000 euros if I remember correctly. Like, this reminds me of that one. But with this version, I'm still like, I'm quite okay, because this type of like straw bags have existed for a long time. So it's not really that Prada invented that bag or that style of a bag. So, but anyway, like this came into my mind when I was looking at this H&M version. And this kind of opened up the floods for me. Because if we just start looking at these bags, this beach bag, it has two handles, like shorter ones and on shoulder ones. I think like look wise, with the leather patch on the front, it reminds me of the Loewe basket bags. And then with the alternative of two straps, short, long, it's like the Celine straw bag, in like reminiscent of. And that's kind of all that I see from this one. And yet again, I'm still like, okay, straw bags have existed forever and ever. Straw bags usually have handles, so fine, not too bad, right? Although this bag is almost 130 euros, so that it's quite expensive for a straw bag, and I feel like, as for me, it is quite inspired. Just putting in a bit more, you would get an original one. Just my opinion, but still, like, this is in here. But if we look at this bag, for instance, it really reminds me of the Prada re-edition bags with only like the shoulder strap, the canvas one. I think this is the re-edition 2000 version doesn't it? Like, for me, it really does. What about this one? I'm not sure if Bottega Veneta has made the mini Jodies in this type of metallic pink, but this is a dupe of that one for sure. For less than 40 euros, you could get the look. What about this one then? So it definitely does not look as, let's say, luxurious as the Lady Dior mini version, which is what this reminds me of. But I mean, you can still get the look for less for sure. But yeah, that's actually just screaming Lady Dior to me. Then we have this bag, and this shape, as it is like this dumpling thingy where it's like connected from the middle. This reminds me of the Bottega Veneta's turn pouch, where you can like adjust the strap a bit to make it either like a shoulder bag or then like into this dumpling shape by shifting on the strap. So this reminds me of that one. Those don't come with some diamantes on it, so for sure this is different, but the shape reminds me of that. And then we have something for the wannabe Fendi lovers, I guess. This reminds me of the Sex and the City Carrie purple baguette, doesn't it? Or is it just me who can see that bag from this? And there were quite many, I feel like, inspired bags of the Fendi baguettes on the site. So if you don't like the sparkle, there was also these leather versions. I don't think they are leather, so. And then we can jump onto a Givenchy inspired one. Can you see what I'm seeing with this? Antigona much? Maybe. Oh god, I'm taking this really seriously. I mean, obviously none of these claim to be the designer version, but I feel like they are very similar, like really similar, some of them, not all, but like some of them. Moving on to the next one. This is, I think, a very trendy shape, so I don't really blame them for like creating this type of bag, because this shape has been existing for forever and ever. No designer brand owns this bag shape. It's now on trend. But if we look at this one, like clearly it's trying to create some kind of like canvas print. So it really reminds me of the Celine Ava in the Celine Triomphe canvas. That's what I think when I see this, but maybe not from the like worst part of these dupes. Then moving on to the next one. So this reminds me of two types of bags. First of all, it reminds me of a Chanel, is it Coco handle bag? The shape at least, and that the handle is stiff, upright. And then it also reminds me of a Balenciaga bag, but we do not need to go that deeply into that one. But of course, like this shape as well is very classic, but still it reminds me of some designer bags for sure. We have the classic H&M bag as a inspired of the Book Tote by Dior. I think this has been on sale for many years now. They bring it back. I mean, quite practical summery bag, maybe. They also do have these kind of prints that are not the Dior print, but a look-alike, if you want to get the look of those. Then we have this stitched crossbody bag that kind of reminds me of the Bottega Veneta's padded cassettes a tad, not like a direct copy, but reminds me of that. We have this bag that also reminds a bit of Balenciaga for those who are in the market still for that look. Moving on to this bag. So I feel like this has a very like Chanel-esque features in it. It has the kind of quilting, and then the logo on the front. It doesn't have double C's. It has, I think, like 2 C's and then like an O or something. But I see what you did there. I feel like, at least, am I alone here? I get like Chanel vibes of these bags, but it's not directly a bag that comes to my mind. It's just inspired, maybe. And then I think we can end our review to this one. So this really reminds me of the Prada re-edition 2005 with the guitar strap. This does not have a separate chain one, but they did have a different variation of this bag, I think, with a shorter shoulder strap that had also a bit of chain on it, as well as then like a pouch on the thick strap. So yeah, some inspiration probably taken from other brands here. It should not come as any type of surprise for anyone, and definitely not for me, that brands take inspiration from each other. And that's just how it goes, because there is quite limited amount of things that people can invent from scratch that would not be inspired or have features from something else. So that's part of it for sure. And then for high street, of course, they are following the bigger designers to see like what's coming, what's going to be the trend, watching how people utilize and purchase from the designer brands, and then they create their own more affordable versions and get inspired by these designer labels. But for some of these, I feel like they were too close to just be inspired by something. I feel like they were really just for someone who really wants the exact look but won't, for some reason or another, purchase the real deal. Is there a chance that someone might think that one of these would actually be the real deal? Hard to say. Probably, if you would actually see them on person, touch them and so on, hopefully it would be recognizable that they are not the designer version of it. But it might be that for some people, they might still think that it's the real thing. I don't know, like hard to really tell. But for me, I feel like, for instance, the dupe for the mini Jodie, the big pink one, I think it is very close to the real thing, at least appearance-wise. Probably if I would touch it, it would not be as smooth of a leather. It's not even leather. But looking from afar, if you wouldn't be so much involved with Bottega Veneta or designer brands in general, it looks the same as the original ones, doesn't it? Like, similar enough that it could trick someone. And that, for me, is probably the problem with these inspired things. I feel like absolutely brands should be inspired by each other, but preferably they would bring in something of their own into them. And of course, in high street, it's a bit difficult to bring something of their own because that's not the purpose of them. Yeah, I was a bit surprised, a tad shocked of how many I could find from the H&M page by just looking for a few minutes. It wasn't just a few, there was a lot. And there actually are a lot more than what I even picked to this video. So, at least for me, this kind of is food for thoughts of how I feel about this. And I mean, I have made a video previously talking about the mini Jodie in particular, because I found let's call that person influencer, kind of advertising a direct dupe. And by dupe, I mean an inspired by bag that does not claim to be the real deal, but that dupe was like really accurate. So probably it looked exactly the same without any Bottega Venetas inside it. And that kind of bothered me a bit, that the influencer kind of advertised that's inspired by peace to their audience, and just saying that this is a really great idea, and it costs only like $40 or whatever. So I'm still in that mindset of I'm a bit bothered if they are too similar to my liking, at least. But maybe it's just me. So I would be really, really, really curious to continue this conversation down in the comments below. What are your thoughts? Now that we watched a few of these H&M bags that they have in their selection, first of all, do you see what I see in them? Am I crazy? Am I just been looking too much on designer bags that I just see them everywhere? So first of all, do you also see what I see? Second of all, how do you feel about this? Do you also have a limit that I clearly have of like, if it is just inspired by that still might be okay-ish, but when it goes like almost as a copy, yet before even claiming to be the brand, but like too close to the original, then it starts to bother. Let me know. I would be so curious to know your thoughts. Thank you for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.